To complete your graduation thesis on time, I called a junior female student named Snow Leaf, who secretly admired me. I needed a quiet environment. The confinement room she prepared for me was quite decent. Could I move in earlier? She was stunned. After a long pause, she finally spoke. What confinement room? I chuckled, saying, when you built that confinement room, I didn't just supervise from nearby. I even went inside to test it out. It's pretty good. The other end of the line fell into a deathly silence. Even her gentle breathing stopped. I waited a moment, but couldn't help reminding her that she could breathe now. Don't suffocate herself. Finally, there was movement on the other end. A few seconds later, her soft voice came through saying thank you. So polite too, though I wasn't sure what was better about it. I thought of the confinement room again, and once more sought Snow Leaf's opinion. I'm graduating soon, with 2 theses for 2 degrees to write. I couldn't secure a spot in the library, and the dorm is too noisy. I think the confinement room you prepared for me is perfect, spacious and quiet. So could I borrow it early? I really need it. Alright, I said with a laugh. Don't pretend you don't know about the confinement room this time, sorry. She apologized quickly too. Her voice was quite pleasant. I smiled, stopping my teasing. You want to come over now, sure. I know the address. I'll grab a cab and head there right away. I'll drive you. It'll be more convenient. A question mark appeared on my forehead. Don't tell me you're nearby stalking me. Sorry, alright, stop apologizing. Where are you? I turned around. I spun and looked behind me, just in time to see Snow Leaf step out from behind a tree not far away. The tall, slender girl wore a white dress, a purple silk ribbon tied around her neck. Her eyes hidden under the shadow of her lashes were unclear, but the lower half of her face was pale and exquisitely delicate, like a piece of jade, breathtakingly beautiful. What flashed before my eyes, though, was a flame, the thick scent of blood. Memories that hadn't been unlocked flooded in. When I came to, she was standing in front of me, obediently bowing her head. My gaze fell on a badge pinned to Snow Leaf's chest. I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. This badge, it seemed I had a similar one. She didn't dare look at me, her voice soft as she said, "This is the silent lover design I had specially made." A girl's thoughts are truly intriguing. My eyes unconsciously drifted to Snow Leaf's hand. It was a beautiful hand, slender and delicate, with fair smooth skin, but now it was trembling out of place. Are you nervous? She instinctively denied it, then quickly changed her words, lightly nervous. After speaking, she bit her lip, seemingly annoyed at her own inadequacy. I asked where her car was. Basement parking level to lead the way. Snow Leaf drove a luxurious blue car, obviously very expensive at first glance. I'm not good at distinguishing luxury car brands, but the Trident logo on this car left a deep impression on me. 8 years ago, when I was just starting middle school, my father drove a luxury car like this for a while, but he wasn't the owner. He was the driver. A monthly salary of 30 million, with weekends off. To this day, I still can't understand how someone like him, mediocre in every way, with average driving skills, could land such a good job. Thankfully, he was fired after a month. Seeing me standing motionless in front of the car, Snow Leaf couldn't help but ask what was wrong. Is there something wrong with my car? I shook my head. The car was fine. I was just recalling some unpleasant memories. Seeing I didn't want to elaborate, Snow Leaf didn't press further. She got into the driver's seat, started the car, and looked at me. I didn't hesitate, sliding straight into the passenger seat. After I buckled my seatbelt, Snow Leaf didn't drive off immediately. Instead, she turned to look at me. How did you know I prepared it for you? Snow Leaf paused, unable to say the words confinement room. She felt ashamed of the thoughts she once had, making it hard to speak. I saw through her heart, but deliberately asked, "The confinement room, you mean?" She nodded, her head sinking lower, like a kitten afraid of being abandoned by its owner. I couldn't resist reaching out to scratch her chin. In that moment, her entire body froze. I withdrew my hand, smiling casually. "I thought you'd be more curious. Why I didn't report you to the police but chose to monitor you instead." She followed my lead asking why, but I didn't answer. The car fell silent. Time ticked by second by second. A thin layer of sweat appeared on the tip of Snowleaf's nose. It's okay if you don't want to talk. Her voice was dry as she spoke, careful and cautious. Don't be mad at me, don't hate me. I'm not mad at you. I just don't know where to begin. Because I wasn't supposed to know about this until 6 months from now. At your funeral, 3 days ago, I stood in the lobby of the library's first floor, slowly opening my eyes. My head was spinning, my ears ringing. In that moment, the crowd around me felt like a tidal wave, like blurry scenes from a movie, and I was lost in the middle of it. After the discomfort in my body faded, I was still dazed, unsure of my current state. Reborn but in that future car accident. Only Snowleaf died. I survived because she shielded me, even attending her funeral in a wheelchair. A dream. No dream could be this real. Dreams are discontinuous, incoherent, and uncertain in perception. None of those traits matched my experience or memories. After careful thought, I concluded I might have time traveled from 6 months in the future back to now. I took a deep breath. Images flashed through my mind. Snowleaf's body lying in a pool of blood, her black and white photo on the gravestone, and her secret love diary. Before I traveled back, I had just received her diary from her mother. The diary's cover was made of fine leather, with the words "Life is like a wild field" written on it. Opening the first page, for bold words greeted me love in full circle. Were here Snowleaf's voice broke through, pulling me back from my memories. I looked up and realized the car had reached a mountain in the suburbs, stopping in front of a villa, luxurious yet elegant. I turned to Snowleaf. You sure know how to pick a place. Lush trees, picturesque scenery. Snowleaf flattered was a bit shy, but genuinely happy, her lips curling unconsciously. I added leisurely perfect for hiding someone. Snowleaf choked on the air. I couldn't help but lauding her was so much fun. The next second my gaze unintentionally caught a glimpse of Snowleaf's exposed wrist. The slender wrist of the girl wore a silver gray bracelet. My eyes lingered. This bracelet, it's the one I lost before, isn't it? Yes, Snowleaf nodded. Seeing my expression harden, she immediately grew nervous and apologized. I stayed silent for 2 seconds, then called her full name. Is apologizing your catchphrase? It's not. Then why do you keep saying sorry to me? Of all the people in the world, the one who least needs to apologize to me is Snowleaf. She lowered her head, like a child awaiting punishment for a mistake, because I did something bad. What bad thing? Afraid I'd be in danger, so you followed me around all day, like a stalker. But aside from today, never approaching within 10 meters. Or wanting to confine me, building a confinement room so grand and beautiful, no different from a 5-star hotel's presidential suite, yet not daring to act on it. Snowleaf whispered, I picked up your bracelet, and secretly kept it, not returning it to you. Her voice grew softer and softer. I wanted to laugh more and more. Keep it then. Snowleaf suddenly looked up at me, stunned by the indulgence. Is that okay? I nodded to her. It's yours now. Snowleaf smiled, as if she'd just received a peerless gift in this world. Her peach blossom eyes were breathtakingly beautiful. Seeing her reaction, I lazily propped my chin and teased. You're making me think that you built that confinement room, so I'd confine you instead. Snowleaf glanced at me, her ears turning red instantly, as if she'd thought of something. If you want that, it's fine too. A good idea. I'll think about it. The confinement room was built underground, but the lighting was excellent. I walked up the steps, entering the luxurious and refined room. Looking up, a butterfly-shaped glass panel was embedded in the ceiling. Golden sunlight streamed through the massive, transparent butterfly wings, spilling down like a dream. Do you like it? Snowleaf asked from behind me, her voice tinged with nervousness, like a rookie interior designer awaiting the investor's evaluation. I nodded with such beautiful design it's hard not to like. Hearing my response, Snowleaf let out a sigh of relief. As long as you don't hate it. She continued introducing, saying that on rainy or snowy days, the view from here is stunning. And on clear nights, you can look up and see the twinkling Milky Way. I said softly. Very romantic. Snowleaf echoed me unconsciously. Very romantic. I turned to look at her, smiling faintly. At night, when we're in this room entwined endlessly, looking up at that twinkling Milky Way, it'd probably be even more romantic. Her face instantly flushed red. My smile didn't fade. I beckoned to her. She was a bit flustered but didn't hesitate, obediently stepping closer. My lips brushed her ear. My fingers touched her heart. My genius designer, when you designed this, didn't you ever imagine such a scene? Of course you thought you'd be the one in control, not seeing yourself clearly. Now that I'm taking the lead, you can see it now. Snowleaf's cheeks burned like blood. I pushed her onto the bed. The confinement room trapped both her and me, turning us into a pair of inseparable lovebirds. Her breathing grew rapid, but she didn't resist, letting me take charge. The girl's lash trembled like butterfly wings. Her neck and collarbone flushed red. Such beauty could drive anyone wild with desire. Just as I was about to take the next step, a phone ringtone suddenly broke the moment. The romantic atmosphere shattered. Both Snowleaf and I frowned in unison. I picked up the phone and glanced at it. An unfamiliar number. I answered. A drunken man's voice came through immediately. Your dad's out of money. Transfer some over now. It was Chester Form, my deadbeat father, the epitome of scum. This wasn't the first time Chester demanded money. Of course, I'd never given him a cent, just as had never given me a dime for support. I was about to snap, get lost, and hang up, but I glanced at Snowleaf, changed my mind, and put the call on speaker. Don't tell me you've got no money. Take on a few extra jobs at school. Cut back on food and clothes. Show can you not have money? Chester's voice, already coarse and grating, was even worse, slurred with alcohol. Snowleaf's expression visibly darkened, like a storm brewing. But Chester kept digging his own grave. Hurry up and take me off your blacklist. I have to borrow someone else's phone just to call you now. You little bastard. The words little bastard meant nothing to me, but to Snowleaf they stirred 1,000 waves. She could never tolerate anyone bad-mouthing me, not even half a word. In my heart, I lit a white candle for Chester. He was done for. Snowleaf in front of others wasn't the obedient girl she was with me. Chester still didn't know what kind of person had provoked. He kept rambling on the other end. Oh right, Wild Origin, change your name back. You're my son. How can you carry your mother's surname? Since ancient times, sons take their father's name. Those who take their mother's are sinners defying ancestral rules. A person can't be utterly deplorable in 2 ways at once, unless they're Chester Form. One sentence insulted both me and those who carry their mother's surname. Coincidentally, Snowleaf carried her mother's surname. Snowleaf and her mother, though not close due to personality differences, had a decent relationship. I coldly interrupted Chester. A feudal corpse like you should stay in your coffin and stop opening your foul mouth. Chester roared. A father teaching his son is only right. You dare lecture your father rebelling, are you? Before he could finish, I hung up and promptly blacklisted the number. Not long after I changed my name to Wild Origin, my mother passed away from cancer. I pulled Snowleaf into my arms, playing with her long hair, casually mentioning the past the day my mother died. I had planned to jump into the river to end it all, but by chance, I saved a girl who was also trying to drown herself. At this, Snowleaf's eyes flickered. I didn't notice, and continued. It's funny when you think about it. I wanted to die myself, but when I saw someone jump into the river, my first instinct was to dive in and save them. Snowleaf said softly, because you're a very good person. It's because my mother raised me well, I replied. Snowleaf shook her head. Even the kindest parents can raise unkind children. You're good because you're inherently good. I chuckled, looking down at her. I feel like you see right through me. Really, I feel like I'm just stating the truth. The corners of her eyes curved slightly, a gentle smile blooming on her lips, like the first plum blossom in winter. I suddenly wanted to kiss her. In the days that followed, I stayed at Snowleaf's place, Life was more comfortable than I'd expected. While I worked on my thesis, Snowleaf never disturbed me. But when I took breaks, she was always there, bringing fruit, tea, and all sorts of small gifts, taking care of me meticulously. Morning, noon, and evening greetings never missed. That night, Snowleaf said she had to leave for 2 days on business and invited me to a romantic candlelit dinner before she left. I knew her business was dealing with Chester Form, so I happily agreed. But when I glanced at the bottle of red wine on the table, my appetite vanished. I don't drink red wine. Snowleaf froze. I remember at New Year's this year, you drank red wine with your roommates. I liked it then, but I don't anymore. Why I didn't answer her question about why I stopped liking it? Because the red liquid looked too much like blood. I closed my eyes. The metallic scent of blood from my memories flooding my nose, making me want to gag. It was all Snowleaf's blood. Seeing I didn't want to explain, Snowleaf lowered her eyes, suppressing the emotions swirling within her. Sorry, she said awkwardly. My heart softened a little. I took a deep breath, adjusted my emotions, and smiled at her. It's fine. It's just a personal issue of mine. No need to worry. If you have any at home, could you swap it for a glass of white wine? Receiving my reassuring signal, confirming I was truly okay, Snowleaf visibly relaxed. Just swapping for a glass of white wine. No trouble at all. She paused, then looked at me seriously. As long as you need it, I can do anything. After the candlelit dinner, it was late. Snowleaf left with a pair of bodyguards. I watched her slender figure retreat, unable to stop myself from calling out Snowleaf. She turned back to look at me. I clearly had so much to say, but in that moment I didn't know where to start. After a pause, I just smiled and said, come back soon. After she left, I started changing to head out. That bastard Chester Form was about to get what's coming. How could I miss the show? But as soon as I left the villa, I ran into Snowleaf's mother, Kaimaichu. She was an extraordinarily beautiful woman. Her long black hair, both cold and carefree, and even more striking than her stunning appearance was her wealth and status, consistently ranked among the country's richest for years. Hello, I'm Snowleaf's mother. She extended her hand to me. I was stunned, but politely shook her hand. Hello, Mom. I'm Wild Origin. I had an excellent impression of Snowleaf's mother. In my previous life, Snowleaf died saving me. I was gravely injured and hospitalized. My mother had passed away years before, and Chester Form didn't care. Besides my friends, Snowleaf's mother was there to care for me. She was over 40, having lost her only daughter. Yet she didn't blame me. Instead, she comforted me in every way, worried that the bloody car accident would cause me serious psychological issues. She even proactively found me a therapist. She said, if souls could linger in this world after death, Snowleaf would surely be worried about me. And as a mother, she wanted Snowleaf to rest in peace. Now, Snowleaf's mother looked me up and down, seeing I was unharmed, clearly relieved. It seems she hasn't done anything too extreme. The she in her words was clearly Snowleaf. I instinctively spoke up for her. She's very good. Her mother smiled at me, but gently shook her head, asking, did you know that these past 2 days, she's been investigating everything about you? I nodded calmly. I had guessed Snowleaf was about to deal with Chester Form, so naturally should investigate my history with him. That day I put the call on speaker, because I knew she'd act on it. More precisely, I intentionally hinted for her to do so. Her bodyguards were skilled at handling such matters. Seeing my calm demeanor, the smile on her mother's face slowly faded. Snowleaf didn't investigate you through others. That underground confinement room was designed and built by her own hands. Do you know what that means? My expression didn't change. I looked at her mother. It means her possessiveness toward me has reached a terrifying level. Her mother gazed at me deeply, sighing, you're smarter than I thought. Since you understand so clearly, you should know that excessive possessiveness leads to destruction. Snowleaf is my daughter. I know her well. She's not normal. She's a madwoman, or rather a patient. I was about to argue, but her mother was quicker, leaning down to whisper in my ear, I was once like her, a deranged, abnormal patient. What I want to tell you as a warning is this. Even if you think she's good now, she's never been harmless. She just suppresses it well in front of you, hiding herself, biding her time. But one day in the future, she will hurt you, even if it's not her intention. When that time comes, the suppressed pain and suffering will be unbearable for both of you. She paused, then stood upright, handing me a business card with her personal contact information. If one day you want to escape, you can come to me anytime. I'll help you. Her words offered help, but her eyes seemed to see through me, as if looking at someone else. With one final glance, she drove off, her speed like a free merciless wind, leaving all worldly concerns behind. As dusk fell, I held binoculars, sitting on the rooftop, watching Snowleaf's bodyguards from a distance drag Chester Form out of a car. Chester fell to the ground, utterly pathetic, trying to beg. Snowleaf merely tilted her head, and the bodyguards dragged him into an alley. I stood up, took the elevator down, and headed toward the alley. The rundown alley lay in an old neighborhood, undergoing demolition, with no residents left on either side. In the alley, two bodyguards twisted Chester's arms behind his back, forcing him to kneel, unable to move. His eyes were filled with fear and confusion as he looked at Snowleaf. "Who are you?" Snowleaf ignored him, extending her hand backward. A bodyguard stepped forward, respectfully handing her a pair of gloves to avoid dirt and fingerprints. When Chester saw the bodyguard's face, he suddenly remembered. That carrot really wasn't me who damaged it. "Didn't you say you wouldn't hold it against me?" The bodyguard didn't dare speak. Glancing at Snowleaf, she smiled, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. "Chester Form, I gave you that good driver's job back then, to take care of him, but clearly you didn't take care of him for me." Leaning against the wall at the alley's end, hidden, I couldn't help but look up at Snowleaf upon hearing this. So that great driver's job Chester had back then was arranged by her. Snowleaf lowered her eyes, slowly putting on the white women's gloves. "Chester Form, you should be grateful that back then I considered his feelings and didn't investigate those around him. Otherwise, with the disgusting things you've done, you wouldn't have lived safely until today." Chester sensed the danger, trembling, shrinking back, but it was too late. The next second, Snowleaf stepped in front of him. "Scared now? You were so bold on the phone." Her voice was cold, indifferent, making Chester shudder. She slowly asked, "Who did you tell to take on extra jobs, scrimp on food and clothes, to earn money for you and your illegitimate child?" Chester's teeth chattered. "Did Wild Origin send you? What do you want?" Snowleaf, expressionless, raised her hand and slapped him hard, like a crime boss in a gangster movie. Chester wailed, "You had an affair while your wife was pregnant." She slapped him again, harder, "for using alcoholism to intimidate, harassing your ex-wife at her workplace, beating her until she was hospitalized, then forcing her with a 12-year-old son to move to a strange kitchen house far away." For every sentence, she delivered a fierce slap. Blood dripped onto her hand, but she didn't care. Snowleaf removed the silk ribbon from her neck, wrapped it around her fingers, gripping it tightly, then looped it around Chester's neck, pulling with both hands. Chester's eyes rolled back, struggling to breathe. The bodyguards, initially calm, now looked alarmed. If she kept strangling him, he'd die. I sighed, pitying the ribbon, hearing my voice. Snowleaf regained her senses, her body stiffening. I walked toward her. She instinctively hid her blood-stained hands behind her back, also shielding the blooded Chester. She looked at me, her expression unnatural. "Why are you here?" "I came to see Chester's pathetic state, but now am worried you'll do something irreversible, implicating yourself." I stopped in front of her. "Move aside." She pursed her lips and obediently stepped aside. I walked up to Chester, squatting down. The thick smell of blood made me dizzy, nauseous, ready to vomit. Seeing my grim expression, Snowleaf reached to pull me up, but her gloves were still bloody. Without turning, I said, "Take off the gloves." She immediately lowered her head and removed them obediently. I suppressed my discomfort, checking Chester's condition briefly. Thankfully, it wasn't too bad. She hadn't completely lost her reason, so I raised my hand and slapped Chester without hesitation. When my mother was alive, she never told me Chester had beaten her into the hospital. Now I learned it from Snow Leaf. As her son, I had to seek justice for her. The sharp slap echoed loudly. The bodyguards were stunned. I just stopped Snow Leaf. Yet now I was hitting him myself. They glanced at her, waiting for her reaction. She looked at me, lips pursed, her expression unreadable. I took out a wet wipe and cleaned my hands. After wiping, I turned to leave. Snow Leaf grabbed my arm. "Don't go." Her voice trembled slightly. I sighed, turning back to her, shaking the wet wipe in my hand. "I was just going to throw this in the trash over there." She let out a relieved breath, slightly embarrassed as she released me. I tossed the wipe, then returned, pulling her into my arms. She hugged me tightly, as if wanting to merge into me. I lifted her hand and asked, "Does it hurt?" She shook her head. "It doesn't hurt." "Are you mad at me?" "Mad about what?" I found it a bit amusing. Mad that I had someone beat Chester Form. I put the call on speaker that day because I wanted you to deal with him. Mad that your hands got bloody. I don't like blood. I don't like red liquids. I just pity your ribbon. I reached out, patting her head. "I'll never be mad at you because I know how much you love me. I damaged that luxury car to get back at Chester." On the way back, I told Snow Leaf. She hummed in acknowledgement, smiling without care. "I know. It's just a car. If it's ruined, it's ruined. As long as you're happy." I looked at her, thinking of the secret love diary I'd only partially read, and couldn't help asking why. "Do you like me so much?" Her face flushed red. After a dozen seconds, the car stopped. I was still waiting for her answer, but my gaze unintentionally caught a figure passing by the car window. The man who in my previous life drove the car that hit me, causing Snow Leaf's death. My expression changed instantly. I grabbed her hand. "What's wrong?" she asked urgently. I tried to stay calm, pointing at the man passing by the window, telling her, "That guy." She followed my gaze. "That's Howard Promise." I looked at her, shocked. "You know him?" She nodded. "He's Chester Form's illegitimate son. His mother was the one who interfered in your parents' marriage. She died in childbirth, delivering him." I gave a bitter smile. "Thanks for not saying he's my brother." Snow Leaf said, "I know you don't like hearing that. He doesn't deserve to be your brother." I carefully observed Howard passing by the window. He was only a year younger than me, but he looked much older. Over 10 years ago, I met Chester's illegitimate son once. I didn't remember his name, only that he was a chubby, dark-skinned kid. How did he change so much? Snow Leaf answered my question. What good could he learn following Chester Form? Like father, like alcoholism, gambling, staying up all night gaming. Over time, he turned into this ghostly, inhuman state. I looked at her, recalling the crazed, almost drugged scene of Howard driving in my previous life. I felt there were still many disgusting things about him she hadn't told me. I'm afraid it'd dirty your ears. I couldn't help asking the disgusting things he's done. Could they put him in jail? She looked at me slightly surprised. You want him locked up? I smiled without answering. Someone like him seems dangerous to society. He's better off where he belongs. She smiled. To your right, back in the confinement room. It strangely felt like coming home. I tilted my head, about to say something to Snow Leaf, when I saw her face change slightly after a phone call. I asked what's wrong. My mom wants to see me, then go. I thought of her secret love diary and said to her, I want to go upstairs and check out your library. This house say you can go wherever you want. Can I look at the books on the shelves? Of course, she nodded. I smiled. Great. After she left, I went upstairs to the library. I had just taken her love diary from the shelf, not yet flipping it open. Went through the giant glass window beside me. I saw two people by the pool downstairs, Snow Leaf and her mother Kai Mai Cho. The distance was too far, and with the glass in between, I naturally couldn't hear their conversation clearly, but I could read lips. Snow Leaf, you need to make a choice. Well, things are still under control. Let go of wild origin or let go of yourself. Kai Mai Cho spoke, her expression cold as snow on a mountaintop. Reading this, my pupils contracted slightly. Snowleaf's face grew even grimmer one day in the future. Wild origin will leave weather for someone or something else. You'll be jealous, leading to pain, anxiety, torment, and ultimately madness. Kai Mai Cho looked at her with pity because in your eyes a rival doesn't distinguish by gender, race, or even life and death. Even if he's just admiring a flower, you have the terrifying urge to destroy the entire garden. So his eyes would only turn to you. Snowleaf's fingers clenched into her palm, her lips pale. Her mother's words were her past, and the future she might face. She was powerless to argue. Snowleaf, you know your flaws better than I do. That's why you deliberately kept your distance from him before. But now you're only getting closer. Kai Mai Cho sighed, her eyes sadder. You're my daughter. I don't want you to follow my path and regret it when it's too late. I lost the one I loved. Do you want to lose the one you love too? After their talk, ignoring Snowleaf's increasingly grim expression, Kai Mai Cho stood to leave, but Snowleaf called out, Mom, Dad always loved you. I know he loved me. Kai Mai Cho shook her head, but he wasn't happy. She turned back to Snowleaf, her expression sorrowful. If he had met the me of today, he would have lived better. We would have been happier. In a world with only one other person. It's not a world. It's a painful cage. If you love him, you should give him freedom and happiness, not pain and despair. After Kai Mai Cho left, Snowleaf sat alone for a long time, lost in thought. I watched her through the glass for a long time, my emotions complex. As I pulled my gaze back, my fingers unconsciously traced the words, etched on the diary's cover. Life is like a wild field. What was Snowleaf thinking when she carved those words? I opened her secret love diary and saw the second page. Date X month X year 202X. Saturday, my biological father finally passed away. He once told me death would be his liberation. But before he died, he still wanted to see my mother. I didn't understand. Throughout that year, every time they met, they tortured each other. The air was filled with exhaustion, sadness, and pain. I took my father's ashes to the river. He said he and my mother fell in love by this river, telling me to scatter his ashes there. I did as he asked, but perhaps severe depression is contagious. I jumped into the river seeking liberation and was saved. The one who saved me was a boy. He asked why I wanted to end my life. I said I lost my father. He said, what a coincidence. He lost his mother and came to seek death too. I asked if he still wanted to die. He said saving a life is worth more than building a 7-story pagoda, and his life would surely get better from now on. So he wouldn't die. Then I won't die either. To avoid ruining his merit. Date X month X year 202X. Sunday, cloudy. I saw that boy from yesterday again. He was picking up trash. Why is his life so miserable? Has the merit from saving me not kicked in yet? Date X month X year 202X. Tuesday. Going down the stairs, I happened to walk with him. It was crowded and he was bumped, nearly falling. I grabbed his wrist, saying softly, be careful. He saw the camouflage military training uniform I was wearing, smiling as he said, thanks, Junior. This was the first time we spoke since that day by the river. Years apart. He didn't recognize me, and I once again countless times fell for him. Date X month X year 202X. Wednesday. I decided to give this diary a name, using the words of always longed for. Life is like a wild field. May we all be free and unrestrained. I sat at Snowleaf's desk, holding the diary in my hands, flipping through page after page. In the diary, her care for me grew day by day. From the initial normal concern for a savior, a stranger with a similar fate, to later love, every change left a trace, undeniable, like droplets gathering into a river, profoundly moving. In the quiet library, only my heartbeat remained, and tears that had fallen unnoticed. In my previous life, Snowleaf, with such overwhelming love, sacrificed herself for me, but until her death, she never got our next conversation. As I placed the diary back on the shelf, Snowleaf walked in. I looked up carefully, studying her expression, but couldn't read anything. She looked at me and suddenly said tonight sleep in the master bedroom upstairs. I'll sleep in the guest room. I frowned slightly, give me a reason. She lowered her eyes. I feel the underground room isn't good. I was silent for 2 seconds, then nodded true. No matter how beautiful a golden house is, it can't hide that it was originally a confinement room. Her face paled before she could apologize. I cut in, are you going to tear it down? I'll seal it off. Good. I tilted my head to look out the window. Dark clouds gathered in the sky. It was about to rain. That night thunder and lightning roared. I jolted awake from a nightmare. Drenched in cold sweat, blood stained my vision. Its metallic scent flooding my nose. The sound of collisions, brakes, screams turned into a cacophony, making my ears ring. The day Snow Leaf died in the car accident was a stormy night like this. Trembling, I grabbed my phone and called her. She answered immediately, hearing the unease in my voice. I'm coming right now, don't hang up. She was fast, appearing before me soon after. She sat by the bed, reaching to touch my forehead, letting out a soft sigh of relief. Thankfully, no fever. She poured me a glass of honey water, helped me sit up, and brought it to my lips. The girl's face was gentle, her voice tender. Sleep, will stay with you. I looked at her, my heart suddenly calming, but a mischievous thought arose. Snowleaf, I want to sleep with you. Her face flushed instantly, but her words were wild. Origin, what am I to you? I was taken aback, realizing that tonight Snowleaf was different from before. Still shy, but with a newfound calm between her brows. She stared at me, pressing, am I a suitor who suits your taste? Someone to sat your desires? Or a savior you feel grateful and guilty toward? I looked at her. She stood against the light, her expression unclear. These past few days your attitude toward me has been strange. Like you set a precondition to treat me well, but I haven't done anything. From the moment you called me at the library, I sensed something was off, but I didn't want to say it, because your closeness to me was as precious and fragile as a beautiful dream. I was afraid speaking would make it disappear. Tonight with the storm, I dreamed of things that should have happened in the future, and suddenly realized the moon I've always gazed at. Why did it fall to me? Is it because you pity me, like me, or love me? She paused, looking at me. Do you love me? I fell silent. Do I love Snowleaf? Love is an abundance of liking. I could confirm that I liked her now, but whether it reached the level of love, I wasn't sure. After an unknown time, she spoke, answering for me. You don't love me. At first you only pitied me. That pity turned into liking. But from start to finish, you never loved me. Her voice was dry. Hearing it, I suddenly felt sad. I will love you, I promised her. She shook her head. That wouldn't be fair to you. The me now doesn't deserve your love. I'm dark, not like normal people, but you're kind, good, radiant. She reached out, gently caressing my face. I hope you love the real me, not because I saved you and you're grateful. If you're with someone just because they love you or saved you, what happens if one day you're in danger? I'm not there, and someone else saves you, loving you more than I do, better than me in every way. If you love them, then I'd be sad. But if you don't love them because of me, I'd feel it's unfair to you. She was so earnest, laying her heart bare for me to see. I couldn't help but be moved. I said, no one will love me more than you. She suddenly smiled. There will be, but not someone else. It'll be the me of the future. My mom told me to stay away from you because she's afraid it'll destroy you and then myself. But she doesn't know. After witnessing her and my father's tragedy, it'll never follow that path. I don't just have the option of letting you go. I can also change myself. I want to stand in the light and embrace you, not have you step into the dark to hold me. I don't want you to lower yourself to match me. I was drawn to you, falling for you step by step. I hope the you of the future will do the same. I hope you can truly love me and love me forever. I won. I looked up at her, my eyes filled with both joy and pain. I wanted to say something but felt that after she spoke, she was quietly awaiting my response. I pulled her into my arms, letting her hear my heart pounding, and hers too, so I said okay. For a long time after, I only saw Snowleaf at mealtimes. She became very busy. The psychology books in the library grew in number. My two theses progressed smoothly. On the morning of my thesis defense, I woke up, opened the window, and found a bouquet and a card on the sill. On the card, Snowleaf wrote, "Wishing you success." Thanks to her blessing, the defense went smoothly. Both my theses were rated outstanding. Leaving campus, a group of classmates said goodbye, while closer roommates congratulated me, joking that I should treat them to a meal. Amid the liveliness, I looked up and saw Snowleaf. Solemnly, the girl in a white dress, without her ribbon, stood in the light, still aloof, but with less of the destructive gloom, compared to the girl who stepped out from the tree's shadow. At the library that day, she had changed so much. I pushed through the crowd, walked to her, and stopped. She looked at me, nervous and tense. A few seconds later, she suddenly spoke. "Can you give me a chance to be by your side?" I thought she'd directly ask if I'd be her boyfriend. I thought about it, but I feel I haven't done enough. We haven't truly been together. I want to invite you to watch the sunrise, to see the sunset together. I want to go to an amusement park with you, watch movies with you. I want you to enjoy being with me. And then I'll ask if you'd be my boyfriend. She paused, looking at me. "So, can you give me a chance to be by your side?" "Of course you can." I smiled. "Snowleaf, I think I'm really starting to love you."